Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're digging into a seriously cool and honestly kind of futuristic new idea in AI coding, Claude Code agent teams. All right, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at the big problem this whole thing is trying to solve. Then we'll get into the new approach they're taking, see how an AI team is actually built, and compare it to tools we already have. We'll also figure out exactly when you should use it and wrap up with what this shift could mean for all of us developers. Okay, let's dive right in. To really get this, we first have to talk about the main issue with how most of us are using AI coding assistants right now. Just think about how it usually works. It's almost always a single, super long conversation, right? We're basically treating the AI like one super engineer that's supposed to magically handle everything. The backend, the front end, the tests, the documentation, you name it. It all gets stuffed into one giant chat. And you've probably felt this. This whole approach is pretty brittle. It works great right up until it doesn't. The AI's context window just gets overloaded, it starts forgetting things you decided on earlier, and for anything complex, you end up just constantly re-explaining concepts that you already know. It's a huge, frustrating bottleneck. So the really interesting insight here is that maybe the problem isn't our prompts. Maybe the problem is the total lack of organizational structure. And that's exactly what agent teams is built to fix. And this quote just nails it. Instead of trying to write a slightly better prompt for one AI, we need to design a system for multiple AIs to work together. The question stops being, how can I make the AI smarter? And it becomes, how can I structure the work better? This is where Claude Agent Teams steps in. It takes that exact idea and lets you build, manage, and basically orchestrate a whole digital squad of specialized AI agents that work together on a project. Just like a real human team would. So what does one of these AI teams actually look like, under the hood? How does this all come together? Well, it breaks down into 4 key parts. And what's so cool is how much these parts look and feel like the tools that real engineering teams are using every single day. First, you've got the team lead. This is your main point of contact, the Claude session that you're actually talking to. You can think of it as the project manager. It's the one breaking down the work, creating the teammates, and keeping the whole effort on track. Then you have the teammates, and this is key. Each teammate is its own totally independent AI instance. You can assign them very specific roles like, hey, you're a backend dev focused on APIs, or you're a security reviewer, look for vulnerabilities. You can even create a devil's advocate agent whose only job is to poke holes in the other agent's plans. And here's where the magic really happens. The way they talk to each other isn't just a chat. It's designed like software. The task list and mailbox are literally files on your computer. So when one agent sends a message, it's actually writing a JSON object to another agent's inbox file. It creates this persistent, auditable workflow that you can always go back and check. Okay, so you might be thinking, wait, didn't Claude already have something for parallel work called subagents? And yeah, they did. But the difference here is absolutely crucial to understanding why agent teams is such a big deal. The number one difference is communication. Subagents work in total isolation. They do their one task and then just report a summary back to the main agent. That's it. But agent teams, they can talk directly to each other. A backend agent can ping the front-end agent about an API change. They can actually negotiate interfaces and coordinate the work amongst themselves. Honestly, this is the simplest way to think about it. Using a subagent is like making a function call. You delegate a specific, isolated job and get a result back. Building an agent team is like creating a small organization to tackle a complex multi-part project. Now, these agent teams sound incredibly powerful, and they are, but they are definitely not a silver bullet. You have to know when to use them, especially when you start looking at the cost. So let's just be really clear about the biggest trade-off here. It's the cost. Because every teammate is its own full independent AI session running in parallel, sources are consistently reporting that an agent team can burn through 3 to 4 times the tokens of a single session doing the same work. But to put that cost into perspective, check this out. Anthropic used a team of 16 agents to build a C compiler from scratch. I mean, that is a monumentally complex task that would be totally impossible for a single AI agent. The API cost about $20,000. Now, that sounds like a lot, but it's a tiny fraction of what a human team would cost. It just shows you the sheer scale of problems these things can tackle. So the main takeaway here is you want to use them for big, complex, interdependent work where having that parallel brainpower and collaboration really adds value. We're talking about building whole new features, doing large, tricky refactors, or coordinating changes that touch your front end, back end, and database all at once. And on the flip side, you definitely want to avoid them for small, isolated tasks or just simple code generation. If you're on a tight budget, or if the work has to be done one step at a time anyway, a single session or a simple subagent is going to be way, way more efficient. All right, let's bring it all home and talk about what this really points to, because it feels like a fundamentally new way of working with AI. Your job really starts to shift. You're less of a prompter and more of an orchestrator. You're not just chatting with an assistant anymore. You're designing the system, you're defining the roles, and you're reviewing the work of your own little digital engineering team. It's a real move from implementation to architecture. And that right there is the core takeaway. The whole question is changing. For developers and teams taking on complex projects, Claude Agent Teams offers this powerful and, expensive glimpse into a future where your most valuable skill might not be how well you write code, but how well you can manage a squad of AIs that do.